Hi, this is Bert Cherian from Meta Results, and today I'm going to take you through the first 90 days, an excellent book by Michael D. Watkins. And Michael has worked with hundreds of leaders all over the world, and these are some of the success strategies that he shares in this book. Let's jump right in because I think this is critical for us in any job transition to become successful quickly, and he's got some great ideas to share with you. So this is Michael. He has written many books. His books, Your Next Move, Shaping the Game, Winning the Influence Game. These are all excellent books on the subject of accelerating transition and growing business. So the actions that you take in the first few months in any new role will largely determine whether you will succeed or fail. Failure in a new assignment can spell certainly some trouble in a promising career. But making a successful transition is more about just avoiding failure. Because when leaders derail, their problems can almost always be traced to vicious cycles that are developed in the first few months on the job. So, why are transitions critical? Transitions in new roles are the most challenging times in the professional lives of leaders. And the good news is that transitions that give you a chance to start afresh and make the needed changes in an organization. However, transition is also a period of acute vulnerability because you lack established working relationship and a detailed understanding of your new role. Who hasn't been in that situation when you walk into a new job, you really don't know what you're supposed to be doing, and that's why this book is so critical. So beyond reaching break-even point, there's a great deal of variation in the time it takes to reach break-even point. If you have inherited a disaster, the classic burning platform, you may be creating value from the moment your appointment is announced because everybody needs a leader in the place. If, however, you've been hired from the outside into a very successful organization, it may take a year or more for you to be a net value contributor. However, the goal is the same to get there as quickly and effectively as possible. So I think that one of the key things that we must do is, um, you know, you've got to avoid some transition traps. Uh, you've got to stick with what you really know is what is commonly said. Now, what you've always done will always get you what it always got you, and you fail to see the success in the new role requires you to stop doing some of those things and to embrace the new competencies. The second one is you feel as if you need to take action and you try too hard or too early to put your own stamp on the organization. You're too busy to learn and you make bad decisions and catalyze resistance to your initiative. So don't fall prey to the action imperative. The third one is don't negotiate or mandate or establish clear, achievable objectives. And you may perform well, but if you still fail to meet the expectation of your boss and your stakeholders, you won't be going very far. The other challenge, of course, is attempting to do too much, rushing off in all directions, launching multiple initiatives in the hope that some will stick. People become confused and there's no critical mass of resources getting focused on key initiatives. And here's the other problem is that you have find that you coming up with the pressure of coming up with the answer to the problem, and that's so hard, and you alienate people who could have helped you understand what's going on, and we waste the opportunities to develop support for good relationship. And of course, here's the other big thing, which is that uh, you have you haven't been engaging the right type of learning, and you neglect the horizontal relationship that you need to build up. Spending too much time on the vertical relationship, both up and down, and not enough with peers and other stakeholders. So let's have a look at this. This is really the vicious cycle of transition that Michael Watkins talks about, which is that inadequate leadership on one side and ineffective leadership building on the other side. So we don't learn enough, which means we end up with bad decisions, which means we lose credibility, which means there's resistance to us. On the other hand, if there is ineffective leadership building, we end up with a lack of supportive alliances, which are so critical to be successful, and that aids and abets bad decisions all over again. So, kind of like a vicious cycle that keeps taking us down if we are not learning enough and not building enough leadership equity in the organization. So, instead, now, um, your overriding goal in getting up to speed and taking charge is to gather momentum by creating virtuous cycle instead, and avoid getting caught up in cycles that damage your credibility. Leadership ultimately is about influence and leverage, and you are, after all, only one person. To be successful, you need to mobilize the energy of many others in your organization. If you do the right things, then things will work, and your drive can propel you forward as things open up. So, understanding the first principles, let's get into that. So, part of it lies in the interaction between the new role and the opportunities. And uh, preparing yourself is so critical in this stage. Uh, what you need to do is accelerate your learning and match your strategy to the situation. Uh, and I can never say more than this about securing some early wins, not anything necessarily spectacular, but some early wins, and to negotiate what success means in this new role. So, a few other things. It also means figuring out where the organization's strategic direction is going and to bring its structure into alignment with that particular strategy. But also remember that you've inherited a team. You need to evaluate and align and mobilize these team members. And you may need to do some kind of restructuring so that you can better meet the demands of the situation. Uh, you need to build coalitions and relationships if you're going to have support in on your journey to success. And here's really the piece. In the personal and professional tumult of a transition, you must work hard to maintain your balance and preserve your ability to make good judgment. And if to make this part really possible is to have a right mentors and the counsel network that could be an indispensable resource for you to do well. So the key milestones that you are going to be dealing with. One is the pre-selection. You are in the short list of a particular role that people want you for. And the second is the actual pre-entry. The conversations get deeper at this particular point. And finally, the take charge moment when you are brought into the role and there are a lot of expectations on you, and to be careful of that particular moment because what happens in your first 90 days is pretty much going to determine how successful you're going to be. So, preparing yourself. It's a mistake to believe that you will be successful in your new job by continuing to do what you did before, uh, only applied harder. That's really not working. The starting point is for preparing yourself to understand the kind of transition you're experiencing. And this is why we tell people they need to be T shaped, balancing breadth and depth. The second thing also means is that when you move to the next level, is you need to start thinking, okay, so what is it that I should be taking off my plate? What is it that I should be taking on my plate? And I start the question of influence becomes more and more critical as you rise in an organization because decision making becomes more political, less about authority and more about influence. And this isn't good or bad, it's just the way it is, and it's critical that you should build and sustain your relationships. You also need to establish new channels for communicating your strategic intent and vision across the organization, whatever it takes. Small groups, big groups, electronics, broadcast your message with the widest possible audiences. And the other one is the inescapable reality of promotion is that you attract much more attention and at a higher level of scrutiny than ever before. And you become the lead actor in a crucial public play, which means that you have to exhibit the right presence in a situation. The cultural pyramid. All right. So onboarding a new company means learning and understanding the new symbols, the new patterns of behavior, and what are the assumptions over here that may be completely different from your previous role or the previous situation that you've been in. So I'm not going to take you through all a session on culture, but I do want you to understand that culture is largely hidden, and it's for you to find some of these things out and to understand how do things work here. What does success look like here? How are expectations managed here? And you would find that it may not be the same as the way you did it in your previous role. So accelerating your learning. So the more efficiently and effectively you learn, the more quickly you will close the window of vulnerability that every leader finds when you enter a new role. And so planning to learn means figuring out in advance what the most important questions are and how you can best answer them. Related learning block is the action imperative. You know, people jump in and start doing stuff without really understanding what's needed over here. So simply displaying a genuine desire to learn and understand into increase credibility as well as influence. Now, some of the other things that you may want to start looking at is defining your learning agenda. What is it that you want to have and learn in an organization? Learning priorities are not as simple as you might think, but you will learn from various types of hard data, but how to make effective decisions. You also need the soft information about the organization's strategies, its capabilities, and its politics. Talking to people from different points of view will deepen your insight. So let me walk you through the STARS model over here. It's an acronym for 5 common business situations that leaders may find themselves moving into. Either it's a startup situation, it's a turnaround, it's an accelerated growth, it's a realignment, or it's about sustaining success. And this exercise will help you think systematically about challenges and opportunities in each piece. It will also supply you with a common language with which you can talk to your new boss, your peers, your direct reports about what you're going to do and why. Now, of course, there's no one size fits all approach to leading change, and that's why it's important to be clear about the STARS mix. Um, the STARS framework has implications of how you can evaluate the people who work for you and for the culture you want to create. The most challenging situation was assessed to be realignment, followed by a sustaining success and turnaround. So, just for you to know where the difficulty level is on each one of the STARS acronym. So, repeating that again: startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustaining success. Negotiate success. It really means proactively engaging with your new boss to shape the game so that you have a fighting chance of achieving your desired goals. Many new leaders just kind of show up reactively, taking the new situation as a given and failing as a result. There's much you can do to build a proactive relationship with your new boss, and you should start doing it as soon as possible. So, some of the don'ts: don't stay away, don't surprise your boss, don't approach your boss only with problems, and don't expect your boss to change. Do's, some do's over here. Uh, Clarify expectations early and often. Taking 100% responsibility for making the relationship work. Uh, don't um, expect your boss to come the whole way when you're not willing to do that yourself. Negotiate timelines for diagnosis and action planning, and aim for early wins in areas that are important for your boss. Right. So at the end of 30 days, you would have had a diagnosis of the situation. You would have identified some key priorities, and you would have a plan for the next 30 days, is what your goal should be. You should also be looking at, okay, what did I do in the last 30 days? And what are the major initiatives that will add great value? and do your own assessment of the strategy. So that's what you should have covered at the end of 30 days. Securing early wins. The goal of the first wave of change is to secure early wins, while the second wave of change is typically to address more fundamental issues of strategy, structure, systems, etc. Uh, Leaders in transition understandably are eager to get things moving. They focus on business priorities, identify and support the behavioral change. Focus on a few promising opportunities. Get wins that matters for your boss. Get wins in the right ways, and take your stars portfolio into account. The next thing is to understand that your reputation is critical and to build credibility with people that matter. Plan to engage with people, write your own story, and leverage teachable moments. Uh, plan Planning versus learning is a key thing. Engage in planned change or collective learning. Match your strategy to every situation is a great way to be able to lead the change as you move forward. So waves of change, four stages over here as we have been seeing: transition, immersion, reshaping, and consolidation. Uh, so really our top concern is in the first 30 days getting the transition piece done, then getting the immersion, and then reshaping and consolidation. Achieving alignment. This is a big one, and most people rely on simplistic fixes to address complicated organization problems and end up with all kinds of problems and pitfalls. So, designing an organization architecture is not a simple thing. It starts by thinking of it as an open system. The open part refers to the reality that organizations are open to key players in an external environment and in the internal environment. Uh, so there's strategic direction, there's structure, there are core processes and skill bases that you need to consider. So your job then is to diagnose those misalignments and get started so that you have the right sequence in place to close the loop. New hopes then of what can be done. Defining and modifying strategic direction um, may be more relevant at the top level, but nevertheless, in your own situation, if you're managing an account or if you're managing a team, even, is how do I get my results? Is really the key question that you must ask, and truly align the core processes that you need and getting everybody aligned. And really, that's where the word comes from, everybody in a line. And that's how you make something happen in your new. So building a team, you know enough about this, and really it's about quickly assessing the members on your team, figuring out where you want to go, and therefore how should they evolve, and then getting them aligned into becoming a top-notch team, which really means investing into them at all possible times and using teachable moments to build them up and to mentor them. Creating alliances. Very often people just don't do that. They stick with their own little pond, and that doesn't work. You have to define what are the influence objectives that are critical for you to be able to get things done. Organizations, especially large ones, are complex, and the organization chart has got literally very little to do with what the great point will be in every organization. So the informal organizations are really powerful, and it's for you to know how you can create alliances inside of that particular landscape. So three pillars of managing yourself. One, adopt 90-day strategies broken up into 30 days each. Second, you must have personal disciplines. How are you going to get things done? Uh, your success is really about managing those disciplines for yourself. And thirdly, you must not try to do this on your own. You must have a mentor. You must have a coach. If not in the organization, then certainly outside of it, that will support you in making sure that you are thinking and acting in the right way. We are talking about accelerating everyone, which means that these transitions are not easy to do. It is for you to diagnose that and to adopt some kind of common core model. How are we going to make this happen? But it's really about communicating relentlessly the changes that you want to be able to move the team forward. So I would probably say one of the key things is therefore integrate with the talent management systems. You need to be able to deliver support in time. So uh, clarify the roles, align the incentives so that people know how to be successful in this role and with you particularly. So, I've shared a fair bit over here, and what I want to do is that the summary of it is how do you eat an elephant bit by bit. I would strongly recommend that if you are getting into a new role or if you're anticipating a new role, get a copy of this book and do a deep dive for yourself. And keep the book as a companion for the next 90 days. And thank you for listening in. This is Bert signing off, and I look forward to sharing with you another stellar and an interesting book of how you can be successful in your role. Thank you so much.